I have fond memories growing up in Marine Parade in the 70s. It was built entirely on reclaimed land. At that time, some people were worried that it would not be safe and the land would sink. But my parents were unfazed. They were just proud to have their chance to own their own HDB flat. It was a time of new beginnings for all who moved into the estate. And many came from the kampongs, like my mother, who had lived at Kampong Ember previously. But together and encouraged by the grassroots leaders, we rekindled the kampong spirit in our new homes. This story of Marine Parade is really the story of all of Singapore. It is a story of acts of faith turned into reality. We believed we could become a regional air hub. Changi Airport began its first commercial operations in 1981. Now we have Jewel, and soon we will have Changi T5. We believed we could be the world's leading maritime hub. We started our first container terminal in Tanjong Pagar before containerization took off. Today, we are building the Tuas Port, which will become the world's largest fully automated container terminal when completed. We believed that we could make our little island connected and livable. We opened the first stretch of MRT stations in 1987. Now, we have an extensive rail network, and we are continuing to build more stations so that most of us will live within a 10-minute walk to a train station. As Singapore matures, some wonder if we will be able to go further. They ask, have we reached our limits? Let me assure you, we are never done building Singapore. We will continue to improve and make Singapore a better home for all of us. We will continue to dream up new possibilities for our little island. With long-term planning, urban innovation, and a can-do spirit, we can imagine and implement bold plans. Look at Marina Bay today. The idea for it started way back in the 60s, and we got here only after decades of systematic planning and hard work. But we are not done yet. We have space from Marina East all the way to Pasir Panjang. We call this the Greater Southern Waterfront. And it is 6 times the size of Marina Bay. So we will have many possibilities to reimagine our landscape and create new versions of city living, including better homes for Singaporeans. No doubt, there are also major challenges ahead. As a low-lying island, we will be impacted by global warming and rising sea levels. As a clean energy disadvantaged country, we will face considerable difficulties greening our power supply, which in turn can have a significant impact on our economy. These are existential threats, but we must have the confidence to turn these challenges into opportunities and our vulnerabilities into strengths, as we have done in the past. We have already started to prepare ourselves against rising sea levels. One project is the Long Island, to be built off the coast of East Coast Park. For years, we have studied many ways to shore up our defense against rising sea levels, especially along beaches where we are most vulnerable. The most direct way would be to build a 3-meter seawall along the entire waterfront. But doing this will limit Singaporeans' access to the waterfront along East Coast Park. So we studied further and assessed that Long Island was a more optimal solution. The reclaimed Long Island would be about twice the size of Marina Bay, tripling the length of waterfront parks in the East Coast. And in this way, the Long Island will not just serve as a critical coastal defense, but can also double up as a freshwater reservoir and create even more space for recreation and waterfront living. It will take decades of work to develop the Long Island, including public consultation as well as extensive environmental and engineering studies. This is why we are starting now, even though the benefits will not be felt until years or even decades later. We are also redoubling efforts to decarbonize our power supply. Other countries have a range of renewable energy options to choose from: solar, wind, geothermal, hydro, depending on the lay of their land and natural resources they possess. We have solar power in Singapore, but because of our limited land, we are unable to deploy it at scale. And that's why we are actively exploring other solutions. One option is to import low-carbon hydrogen. At this stage, it's still very expensive, but we hope the cost will come down over time. We are studying the possibilities for geothermal power. After all, we already have a Sembawang hot spring. We are also closely monitoring the progress of nuclear technologies, which can become smaller and safer and may be feasible for deployment here in Singapore in the future. In our early years of nation building, water was a critical constraint. We developed new water and we built our water industry. In our next bound, clean energy will be the bigger challenge. But therein lies the opportunities for us to find new breakthroughs. That is what the Singapore story is all about. We are tiny and constrained in so many ways, but that is also our biggest advantage. It pushes us to come together as one people, to innovate and to think out of the box, to be audacious and ambitious and come up with bold, long-term plans. Singapore today is at a crossroads. We are entering a new phase. It excites me to imagine what the future holds for us and the many opportunities we can unlock. This is our time to build the Singapore we want for the future. So join me on this journey and let us build a better Singapore together.